Thanks a lot, Srini. Thanks a lot for that very warm, loving invitation and introduction. Thanks a lot, Snigdha and Disha, for putting me into the stage with all that force, energy, gusto that is typical of a Saturday morning. I've been meeting a lot of people. I've been giving talks, but this is possibly the first time when I'm surrounded on all sides by finance experts. I don't come from accounting or finance background, though my family has a lot of credentials in it. Just not getting overwhelmed by that fear, I would like to offer a simple poem to all of you and set the stage. All dear friends of CFO Bridge, your financial proficiency I acknowledge. Today I am here with you to engage and share my thoughts and knowledge. And with that statement, with that sentiment, I would get into the topic. Couple of smaller notes to what Srini said. This week and next week, if God willing, me and my wife go to one temple, we would have completed 14 consecutive years of temple visits, new temples every week. And we are on the verge of touching 2,500 temples all over India and a little bit outside. So that is one part of the story. Now, for an obvious reason, while the essence of what I'm going to speak now will hinge upon the nation building thoughts which Srini urged me to put on the stage, consciously till the end, I'm going to keep the title away from you because till the auditor, till the CFO signs the report, it remains hidden to many people, right? So I need to keep that kind of suspense for all of you. The title will be known only at the end. I need to go back a little in time, maybe 45, 47 odd years when I was growing up as a young boy in Puducherry, earlier erstwhile known as Pondicherry. I had the privilege from my home background of reading very many things. My father's collection of books used to exceed 1,000, and I had the opportunity to devour quite a lot of them. And my father was quite impressed with what I was doing, and he used to affectionately call me as the Pauranik, or the person who has studied the mythologies. On the other hand, I used to be a chess player. I used to fight for my games, occasionally cry when I lost, but mostly winning. But what I was crying most in those days, for example, on the 10th of August 1979, when the Rohini satellite did not succeed, I don't know how many people cried. I was crying. In the year 1981, when the second attempt was a half success and the satellite had a lifespan of only 9 days, it was a partial success. Yet I had tears in my eyes. My nation, my country has to succeed. That is the way I was always growing up. Something in me was pulling me towards the nation more and more. Much later in life, I had chance to get into the ancient wisdom of this great nation, be it the mythologies, be it the Upanishads, and I had a fair grasp of quite a lot of them. One such Upanishad would be the Chandogya Upanishad. There, even upon many reading, I had not come across, there was a particular story which was hidden. When I was reading this book called The Divine Voice, or in Tamil they call it as Devatin Kural, which is a series of lectures given by the sage of Kanchi, the erstwhile Mahaperiva, which are all very, very simple stories or messages or lectures, but they carry a very deep, profound truth. One such story was about something coming from Chandogya Upanishad, which I later on hunted and figured out, is about the mental son of Brahma, known as Sanat Kumara. Brahma had 4 such sons who were Manasik Putras, who came out of his thoughts. Sanaka, Sanantana, Sanadana, and Sanat Kumara And Sanat Kumara was eternally absorbed in the bliss of something being everywhere, being the same. And one day he had a strange dream. This dream was that he was leading the Devas or the righteous people in a war against the Asuras or the demons. And he was defeating the demons. And he was little concerned about this dream. So he went and asked his dad, the Brahma, the creator, why did this dream come to me? Brahma told him in one of your earliest words, you were reading a lot about mythology, and something in you created this urge that you will lead the army of the Devas. But the interesting thing is, whatever has come in a dream also had an impact that it needs to be fulfilled out. The story runs like this. Shiva and Parvati were mighty pleased with Sanat Kumara, and they approached him, offering him boons. Sanat Kumara was unmoved. He said, who are you to give me a boon? I am already deeply immersed in the bliss of Brahman. But he overstepped his limit consciously. Maybe that is what is called as the divine will. He said, if you want a boon, I will give you. Grabbing the opportunity, Shiva and Parvati told him, come and be born to us as our son. Apparently, this story leads Sanat Kumara to be born as Kartikeya or Devasenadapati or Subramanya, the way we call him. And subsequently, he leads the army of Devas against the demons and wins them. What has this story got to do with me? The reason is simple. I'm trying to extract one message. There is always something that urges us somewhere. We need to find the purpose of why am I here? What am I doing this? So if I had tears in my eyes in 1979 and 1981, not because I lost a chess match, but because India's scientific attempts were not exactly getting that kind of a success. Something was there in me, something was prompting me to go into the purpose of life, finding the purpose of life. Somewhere in 1992, I had gone to Muscat, Sultanate of Oman to lead a very large development, software development in those days, a HRMS module spanning 20 different pieces. And I joined them in 1995. 13 years, life was a breeze. 7 hours of work, Thursdays and Fridays, we don't have anything to do. But at the age of 40 in 2008, something was deeply working within me. What am I doing here? My neurons were never tested in that environment because all that has to be done was already done. And I wanted my daughters to have that form of Indian education for their later day schooling and college year. 2008, India calling, that is how I always say, India calling pulled me back to India, moving me away from the luxury of working only 6 or 7 hours a day to 17, 18 hours a day, which I enjoy to this day. And that will now develop into things more and more. What is in this country called India? I mean, we are all Indians, we are all patriotic, we all have that. So I take a telescope from the hands of Carl Sagan, the director of Laboratory for Planetary Studies in the Cornell University, a brilliant book called The Cosmos. He looks at all that has evolved, the billions of years of evolution, the light years of the spread of the galaxies, the universe, and comes to certain conclusions that the form of life that is seen in the planet Earth, apparently, scientifically, he was not able to find anywhere else in the galaxy, anywhere else in the universe. And that means Earth has, even to this day, people are claiming some life could be there in some form. But in this form, the way we, you, me, all of us interact, life has not been witnessed anywhere. There is something special about the Earth. When I look at the Earth, 70 odd percentage, 75% of it is ocean and water. And of that remaining 25%, where does India stand? It ranks as the 7th largest country in the world with a tiny area of 3.2 million square kilometers. Why do I say tiny? Our immediate largest country, Australia, is double our size. Siberia, which is only a fraction of Russia, we could call it fractional Russia, is about 17 million square kilometers, but supports a population of only 30 million. And here is my country, small in geographic size, outnumbered in terms of the magnitude by all the bigger sets, yet supports major population, major life of the earth. Population is not a curse. If life were not there in this planet, it would have been a fiery Mars or an icy Venus. There is no point. Life has come about. Sri Aurobindo says that when you go and chant a mantra of the Upanishads, it has the potency to bring to life even a planet which has gone off life. That is the ability. That is the ability that this land gives. That is the ability that the Punya Bhumi has been doing for millions of years, right? But yet, the critical factor here is, for reasons fairly known to us, fairly known to most of us, for about 1,000 odd years, we have lost handle of the glory in many ways. You know, the Northwest front, the province, Northwestern province, was porous at that point in time. You and me and all of us are happy today. It is not that porous now, but there were times when it was porous. Hordes and hordes of people were pouring into this nation, robbing away its wealth, robbing away its soul. And somewhere I read, just during the East India colony, the British colonialization, we lost about $5 trillion of wealth out of this country. And today, post 1947, it's somewhere like a small hockey stick. Slowly, the growth momentum is back. What do I mean by that growth momentum? We are not so poor, yet there are many people who are poor in this country. We are not weak, but we are definitely not the strongest. Also, in many ways, that there has to be something done for this nation to regain a glory. And my simple analogy to all the young minds, if you lose a mobile phone, what do you go and ask your mom or dad? You want the same phone. If you lost an iPhone 16, you want iPhone 16. If you lost iPhone 18, you want the same thing. If you had lost 1,000 years, should we not ask for a grander glory for 1,000 years? That is my message. That has been always my question. This nation, for obvious reasons, should stand tall on multiple fronts. When I say multiple fronts, just creating an economic wealth is no point today. There will be enough hordes who will walk in and rob it away. There is no point in just building a military strength when about 12-15 crores of your population cannot find their next square meal. It has to be an all-round, it has to be a holistic growth. Now, connecting this story of Sanat Kumara alias Skanda, my finding purpose of my life, somewhere I correlated that it has to be something towards this nation. And that is the reason I started researching, digging deep into various things that have fallen apart and various things that need to be put together. And that has been the journey which has been taking to the schools, to the colleges, to people. Every conversation with Satya, somewhere or the other, touches about what we need to do for India here, now, and for the next 1,000 years. Dr. Kalam was talking about a vision of 2020. The current Prime Minister is talking about a vision of 2047. I am talking about a vision of India 3000 AD. The journey from now for the another 1,000 years should radiate strength in 4 dimensions. One is obviously the economic strength. Second is the scientific advancements. The third is the technological growth, which will create the kind of military strength that the nation needs to defend itself. And fourth front is the spiritual or the value strength. After having found the purpose, do I just sit upon it? What do I do? I can turn into a Voltaire and start writing about it, talking about it, because Voltaire did not go and start an IT company. He did not go and give talks, but his thoughts, his books, his messages were reaching and igniting the French minds towards the revolution. I have a different way, I have a different thought towards it. Not only our speeches, thoughts should go, we should also act in a more cohesive, more fruitful, more forceful way, because we are not just talking of a small revolution here. We are talking of something that needs to be done for a millennium. A millennia has been lost and a millennia has to be gained. So the best way to put things into action is a threefold approach. Point number one, the most powerful tool that we always have in our hands is our thoughts, right? Vivekananda says, when a man goes and shuts himself in a cave with 5 great thoughts, 5 noble thoughts, and he dies. He says these thoughts will go round and round the world and achieve whatever the man wanted. So all we need to do is to bring in those great thoughts. And talking of thoughts, there is a story. I mean, one way this nation is always known as Bharat. It is named after a Rajarishi known as King Bharata. King Bharata was a great king, and upon his retirement, upon his sannyasin rule, he happened to be meditating where he sees a particular young female deer chased by a tiger, giving up its life but giving birth to a young fawn. Moved by this, King Bharata takes care of the fawn, giving up all his meditation for a period of time. And subsequently, when he passes away, it seems apparently his next birth was that of a deer. There is a saying, Yat Bhavam Tad Bhavati. What you think, so you become. There is a beautiful doha of Kabir, which always moves me to a great extent. Most of you would know Hindi far better than me, yet I dare to put it in front of you. This Kabir ke doha, it talks about the redness of my Lord's light. Lali mere lal ki, chit dekun tit lal. Lali me dekan mai gayi, mai hi ho gayi lal. I am in search of that redness. I go out to see the redness of my Lord's light. I turn colored, I turn red. That is the potency of thought. Yesterday or day before yesterday, me and my wife were talking about the current situation, and she was asking, what can we do? I said, put your thoughts. If you are not having too many avenues of your option, pray, do anything. Just put your positive thoughts in the ecosystem within you and outside of you, right? That is something that is doable for all of us. Then the second weapon that we could easily use is words. For example, there is a talk that is going on. There is an exchange of thoughts going on. Before this conversation, Srini was exhorting all of us towards the kind of growth that all the bridges could achieve. Words have immense potency. If we flip open the New Testament, there are 4 saints who had their gospel. The gospel of John begins this way. In the beginning was the Word was with God, and the Word was God. And if those of us who are aware and appreciate the definitions of Veda in many different ways, Vedas are apaurushaya. They were not penned down by a man. They are the breath of God. They have always been there with God. Exactly the same thought. That is the way the Gospel of John begins. That is the potency of words. But where do we use those words today? Most of the time, if our words, that's a form of energy I consider, is frittered away in fairly irrelevant IPL matches or something else, we are not putting the best possible weapons to use. Our thoughts can inspire nation. If a thought and a word could go and ignite a million minds, we don't need to do anything. The scientists, the other people who do whatever that has to be done. The third power that we have in terms of putting this into action is the actual deeds, actual karma. Somewhere in 1999, I was told that India will be my karma bhumi and I will return back here in 10 years' time. So this is my karma bhumi where I am doing my actions and what kind of actions I could do. One of the things that Srini was pointing out earlier is the ability to connect with you. I've always found that there are two important elements in the society. One is the youth, the other is the women. These are the most powerful forms of energy that a society, an organization, a nation could always bank up on. So 7 or 8 years back, when I was in my contemplative mood, this number 100,000 flashed in my mind. If a Vivekananda could walk from Amarnath to Kanyakumari, if Dr. Kalam could, one of his final, not his one of his very final speech was addressing a students before he passed away. These two gentlemen have always been inspiring me a lot. So I thought we should connect with the youth. Tell them the story, tell them the story of this nation. Tell them the story of what needs to be done for this nation. This is not a nation to be decried. This is a nation that each one of us have a right to be proud of and take that pride further and further, even beyond the 8,848 meters of Mount Everest. The pride of this nation can go up. So I've been going to several colleges. Whenever I'm having an opportunity to address students, I raise my hands first. I just jump on the nearest bandwagon, go there, connect with them, tell this story, make them take pledges about India. And when we talk of all these things, I take 2-3 messages to them. One, the world as a whole, the humanity as a whole, and even Indians, we have lost that bit of inquisitiveness today. We are not generally inquisitive these days. Even before the arrival of Gen AI or ChatGPT, people have lost the ability to be inquisitive. It was not that an apple falling on Newton made him inquisitive and figure out the gravitational theory. And generally, this theory of apple falling is also discounted. But here comes a brilliant young boy in one of the Upanishads, the Kathopanishad, where Nachiketas is inquisitive about the yajna that his dad is doing. It seems his dad was offering fairly useless things, cows whose udders have worn out, dried, lands that were dry, and yet he was seeking something. So he boldly goes and asks his dad, to whom are you going to give me? There is no answer first time, second time. The third time, the dad, supposed to be a sage, loses his cool and says that I offer you to death. Apparently, it means that for a moment, he has to die and he has to go to the abode of Yama. 3 days and 3 nights he had to wait because apparently Yama was on a world tour or whatever. He comes back and profusely apologizes to Nachiketas, telling him that a Brahmin boy made to wait for 3 days and 3 nights is negligence. I owe apologies to you and I offer you 3 boons. The story goes further, but one thing that always moves me, Nachiketas simply asks the first question, let back by you, my dad should receive me happily. He combines 2 in 1. See the clever power of negotiation. You offer me 3, I ask you 4. Let back by you, let my dad receive me with happiness. He asked an important question. There are multiple theories that people say about this person when he dies. What happens after death? Yama tries to dodge. Yama tries to defend as if the whatever they call it as a Sudarshan, which is cutting the drones flying in from Pakistan. He was trying to evade answers. He was trying to offer alternatives. Nachiketa stood firm. He says, dear sir, if you are going to give me women, gold, and horses, all of this are going to perish away. You are the best master of this knowledge, and it is this knowledge that I want from you. That has been the determination of that young boy. And Vivekananda says, people living in the Indo-Gangetic plains yesteryears were inquisitive. They never believed in something because somebody told them to believe. Vivekananda says, this religion is not a question of blind faith. It's a question of being and becoming. Everywhere in the Upanishads, you will find people grilling, putting questions, torturing their masters. In fact, one of the Upanishads is known as Prasna Upanishad. It's a book of questions. Just because you say, I don't have to agree with you. Let me understand. Let me dig deep. But that kind of inquisitiveness is gone. I'll connect again in the third part where I will tell you how inquisitiveness transformed Europe and the world in early 1900. So this is a message that I've always been talking about, and I generally tell them, coming out of an engineering course, jumping into one of the big four or big six or whatever it is, into a 3,20,000 salary, and waiting for the day that you will be onboarded, 9 months, 10 months, suspense driven. You are assigned a job which you don't like to do. And at some point of time, the project has been closed by the US client. You are into bench. You need to hunt for your next job within 60 days. People write bench policies these days. What is this life all about? But yet, if you have the vigor, if you have the guts, if you think entrepreneurial, you are a person who is going to give jobs. Nobody needs to come and give you jobs. My humble thing is, if 100,000 youth can be inspired to create, to turn entrepreneurial, to create jobs, each one of us, each one of them creating 100 jobs is about 1 crore of jobs. And assuming that these are for people who are in need, a 4 crore life can come out of dire poverty, because I assume a family has 4 people. It's a simple way. I'm just doing a simple Excel calculation. It could be more, it could be less. I don't really care. But we can't always be waiting for this government or that government to create jobs. Creation of jobs is my prerogative. And I remember in the year 1989, the final 8th semester, there was a professor, young man, a lecturer. He came in for a class on management economics, and then he was asking each one of us, what do you want to do in life? I did not know. I simply said, I want to set up a business. So he said, you should possibly start soap powder business. He was not sarcastic. He was possibly being realistic, but my ego shot up. I started arguing and I was trying to corner him. How dare you say that to me? I'm an electronics engineer and all that. But it took another 32, 33, 34 years for me to become entrepreneur. But today I'm happy. When I go to a college, when I tell them, can you create 100 jobs? If they ask me, sir, you are talking so much. What have you done in life? I want Yashmiya Consulting and Technologies. I want CFO Bridge to have created hundreds and hundreds of jobs. My dream is not 50, it's not 500. 5,000 jobs can I create. If Narayan Murthy could do it, I can do it. If Vembu Iyer could do it, I can do it. Why not? Nothing prevents me except my mindset. So this is the message that I've been carrying to the colleges, and generally I make them take 3 pledges with me: loving the nation, turning inquisitive, and turning entrepreneurial. The other aspect of this whole thing, it's a 4-fold growth that I am envisioning. The first is obviously the economic strength. All of you here will be far more capable in terms of analyzing the GDP, what happens, this one, macroeconomics, so many indicators, trade imbalance, blah, blah, and all that. But simply put, the nation has to become rich. There is nothing wrong if the individuals turn rich. There is a story in the Bible where a young man goes and asks Jesus Christ, sir, can you show me the way to the kingdom of God? Jesus Christ tells him, my dear young man, sell all your wealth, distribute it to the poor, and then come back to me. The young man is very disappointed and goes away crestfallen because he doesn't want to give up his wealth. Jesus Christ tells that it is very difficult for rich people to get into the kingdom of God. It might be easier for a camel to walk through the eye of a needle. But I have a different thought. Wealth is not to be cursed. Everywhere that you see in the mythology, wealth and prosperity has been worshipped. There are only 2 things about wealth: the way you acquire it and the way you put it to use. As long as your ways of acquiring wealth are principled, in Sanskrit we could call it dharmic, as long as they are principled, accumulate wealth. Because the wealth that you accumulate could start creating jobs in and around you. It could be a gardener, it could be a housemaid, it could be that thing that you buy from a local pop and mom shop, bunker shop, or whatever. You could use that wealth and ensure that it reaches lots and lots of needy people. The moment we step out of the comforts of our phone and e-commerce, we find that there are lots of people who are just waiting for that opportunity. It could be a small 1 or 2 muram of flour that you buy. It lights a household somewhere. But we slowly we have moved into e-commerce. The other day there was a discussion with somebody who said, "Why don't you buy this from Flipkart? It is cheaper." But if I go to the local dukan and buy it is going to create livelihood for those people. That is important for me. The other thing that I want to touch upon is the science. I would like to take all of you about 125 years back, from the year 1905, or even possibly a little before that. The kind of Europe that existed is not the kind of Europe that you have today. If you look at the names that were occupying the stage of science, I'm just giving you very, very short list of names: Max Planck, Albert Einstein, Niels Bohr, Heisenberg, Erich Schrödinger, Wolfgang Pauli, Paul Dirac, Richard Feynman, and this is a very small list. Each one of them was a Nobel laureate, and they were ripping open the secrets of the universe, the secrets of the atom. Where has that knowledge gone today? People are simply trying to do something on technology, something on Google search, something here, something there. That is not fundamental research. It is my earnest desire. I am inspired by the great Tata that he could set up an institute of fundamental research in Mumbai. You have the TIFR in Mumbai. And then Tata was again instrumental in setting up the Indian Institute of Science in Bengaluru. At some point of time, I would consider it lovely if I have anything even remote to set up an institute of fundamental research in Chennai, which goes into the depths, into the secrets of science. That would be far more wonderful. And the last portion, we talked about the economic strength, we talked about science. The third portion is the technology. Today, we are just having a message in our college group. I'm very proud that one of my classmates, coming from the same electronics and communication, has been part of a vital team in Bharat Electronics, which was instrumental in designing some of these intercepting missiles today. There is even an Hindu article that has come. And the other day, I was moved to tears when I was reading about Rama Rao, a scientist aged 76, an ex-scientist of DRDL. He was crying because his Akash missiles, which he designed long ago, were performing beautifully. He says that my baby is performing exceptionally well. That is needed. Everywhere, we could always contribute in thought, word, and deed. We could always do that. We could contribute to economics. We could contribute to science in whatever way, in technology. And last but not the least, the spiritual strength. What divides a nation is not these things. It is the lack of spiritual strength that divides the nation. When I say spiritual, it is not tied to any particular flavor or form of religion. It is just spirituality, hard and core. When I go to temples, I don't consider it as a spiritual aspect of it. But going to temples, I've converted it in a very, very spiritual way because it talks about determination. It talks about consistency, which are all, I would believe, a spiritual way of doing things. Now, the ancient knowledge that gets buried, one of my goals is to gain as much of it and to spread as much of it. I don't find them to be a struggle to understand. Even if there is a difficulty, there are experts, there are commentaries that could be leaned upon. So that knowledge always stands to 3-4 days back. One of my last roles in my earlier company was being the head of HR, and I have always been doing this counseling. Somebody from that time, he has gone to a different company. He was in a particular job situation. He came back to me, "Satya sir, can you offer me half an hour of your time for counseling?" I said, "Why not?" I listened to him, gave him few thoughts, but towards the end, I told him, this problem is now, the solution for it lies in how you are going to act in the future. Take the Mahabharata and read it a few times. All problems that you are talking about are there in the Mahabharata. Nothing is new. The situations that you face from a hostile boss and how you have to deal with it, whether it's a loss of job, should I lose my job or should I lose my prestige? You can find your own answers when you flip open the Mahabharata and read any story anywhere. So I come to the conclusion of what I've been speaking so far. There are two elements in what I said: finding purpose and then putting it to action. Finding purpose in my case has been to do something for this nation. And action for me has been all these things that I've been talking about: meeting youth, making people raise their awareness, contribute to science, contribute to spirituality, contribute to economic wealth, and all that. Now, in summary, I would like to say that as long as my heart beats, it's for the nation. And when the drum beats start for me, I should have achieved something in life. I was always saying it is a millionth of a Vivekananda, a millionth of Dr. Kalam. But now I would say, if I am a fractional Vivekananda, if I am a fractional Kalam, I would consider this life as a meaningful and purposeful one. Now, I come to the title for this talk. I think those of you who have figured it out already, my applause to you. Finding purpose and acting upon it. Find purpose and act. Find purpose and act. SP and A is what I have been always about. And I don't need to come and tell 40 CFOs what is FP and A all about. Just find purpose and act on it. Thank you so much.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Okay, thank you so much.